Just 6 games into the new season and we already have 2 sackings in the Premier League. Of course, it's not unusual to expect Premier League managers to be sacked as the season progresses, but usually it's not until November and December when you usually see managers get sacked. Chelsea are a club very popular for its no-nonsense approach to football. The managers were never safe, especially after Roman Abramovich took over Chelsea Football Club in June 2003. The last time a manager left Chelsea in September was way back in 2007, when Jose Mourinho chose to end his contract with Chelsea through mutual consent after a 3rd successive game without a win. He too would leave in September, but on the 19th, 6 games after the new season had started. Tuchel left after Chelsea played just 7 games after the season started. In those 7 games, Chelsea won 3, lost 3 and drew just 1. Whatever you may think about Tuchel and Chelsea's performances so far this year, it is an aberration to fire him so quickly. Hi guys and welcome to Football Talk, where we give you the latest updates on managerial sackings, football teams, the Queen's death this week and many other things football. Today we're going to be looking at Chelsea's unceremonious sacking of Thomas Tuchel, following a 1-0 defeat at the hands of Dinamo Zagreb, and looking at where it all went wrong for the German. But before we go into the analysis, comment below what your thoughts are on his sacking. Should he have gotten more time? Or was Chelsea's new American owner Todd Boehly right to sack Tuchel after a record-breaking transfer window with close to £300 million spent on new arrivals? We'll be clear from the very start. Chelsea's sacking of Thomas Tuchel has genuinely left the footballing world baffled. Only 3 weeks before his sacking, Tuchel was happily discussing an extension over his current deal, saying in a press conference, "You know how glad I am to be here and how much I like it." This was after an extremely turbulent second half of 2022, where following Russia's invasion of Ukraine, all oligarchs and Russian socialites with any former or current ties with Vladimir Putin were sanctioned by the international community. Roman Abramovich was one of the many such oligarchs that were affected by this decision, seeing all his assets, businesses and investments frozen by different countries around the world that condemned Russia's actions. The only major club that got affected in the Premier League was Chelsea Football Club, and boy did the scenes at Stamford Bridge look painful. The team was forced to go to games on the bus instead of the plane. This meant that it took longer for them to arrive for domestic games. Their spending for away games was limited to $20,000, so even if they were arriving by plane, it usually meant having more players in fewer rooms. Not taking all the technical staff with them to away games, just the squad, the substitutes and even the bare bones of the coaching staff. Chelsea could not sell any further tickets, even though quite a significant number of seats do not belong to season ticket holders and are usually bought by people in the build-up to match days. Chelsea were not allowed to sell those tickets anymore. Furthermore, Chelsea could not sell their merchandise. The idea was to freeze Chelsea as a profitable business for Roman Abramovich. Tuchel was adamant though. He managed to get everybody at Chelsea Football Club united and was willing to brave through whatever it was that the governments of the world would throw at them. He was the face of Chelsea Football Club when Roman Abramovich wouldn't make any public statements. He stood up in front of the media and issued rallying cries one after the other. His most famous quote in this time was, "My last information is that we have a plane, that we can go by plane and come back by plane. If not, we go by train. If not, we go by bus. If not, I'll drive a 7-seater. And I will do. Mark my words, I will do. I will arrive there." Tuchel also reaffirmed his commitment to the Premier League side, saying he'll be there until at least the end of the season, as everyone at the club works day by day until the sale can be agreed. His statements helped Chelsea reorganise themselves and stay brave in the face of the immense backlash and criticism the club was receiving after the war broke out. He was asked to speak every week on the issue. As the days went by, journalists would be just as focused on asking him about the war as they were on Chelsea's performances on the field. The entire club was completely frozen and embroiled in a political battle that no other club in the world had to face. For context, Newcastle does not hear any similar criticism for getting backed by Saudi Arabia, a country that has been attacking Yemen non-stop for decades now. Qatari-backed clubs Manchester City, PSG and FC Barcelona see no such criticism for the actions of the countries and companies. Everton were another club that had the backing of Russian billionaire Alisher Usmanov in a deal worth over $15 million over 5 years. They simply suspended their sponsorship ties with the organisation and that was the end of the situation. You can think whatever you want about Abramovich's role in Russia's invasion of Ukraine, but you can't deny it felt like Chelsea were being targeted a lot more aggressively than other clubs. He brought Chelsea Football Club for $172.4 million and then invested heavily in the club, including a $1.5 billion loan. By the end of it all, Abramovich sold his beloved club for around $4.25 billion, $1.75 billion of which had been kept as investments for a future stadium project, and the rest has been given to the United Kingdom government. The government reiterated that the Treasury will not issue a license that enables any part of the proceeds from the sale to directly or indirectly benefit Abramovich. And that is the harsh reality of what happened at Chelsea to bring Todd Boehly into the picture. So far, we haven't even gotten to the footballing aspects just yet. We're just trying to present a fair and accurate picture of what was going on at Chelsea behind the scenes. In his first season at the club, he managed to get Chelsea to win the Champions League for only the second time in their entire history. He also led Chelsea to the FA Cup final, before eventually losing to Leicester. He then won the UEFA Super Cup at the start of the next season, before guiding Chelsea to the EFL Cup final, which they lost to Liverpool on penalties. Following that loss in the final, Chelsea would go on to win the FIFA Club World Cup, the first in Chelsea's history. He then led Chelsea to the FA Cup final again and lost out on penalties to Liverpool once more. In the 6 knockout cups that Tuchel participated in since his arrival at Chelsea, he has reached the final an impressive 5 times, only missing out to Real Madrid in the Champions League last season, but in extremely controversial circumstances, as Marcos Alonso's goal was disallowed. And it was only through the sheer individual brilliance of Karim Benzema that Madrid came out on top. And all this with the Ukraine war happening in the background. Tuchel's indifferent start to the 2022-23 season thus must be put into context. The circumstances around Chelsea Football Club were not ideal at all since February, when Chelsea was still very much in the title race, albeit slightly behind both Man City and Liverpool. Their season derailed by that point, but they still managed to finish third. They reached the finals of both the EFL Cup and the FA Cup, and they lost a Champions League quarter-final to the team that eventually won the entire competition. It's crazy to think that that is not a successful season. Furthermore, Tuchel's entire squad has been revamped this season, with close to £300 million being spent all over the pitch, and players like Wesley Fofana and Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang having had less than 1 week at Chelsea before Tuchel was fired. The defence lost 3 key figures in Marcos Alonso, Antonio Rudiger and Andreas Christensen already. Thiago Silva is ageing, and yes, it will take time for Koulibaly and Fofana to adjust to their new teammates before they start performing. In attack, they've lost Romelu Lukaku, Timo Werner and Callum Hudson-Odoi. The idea is that the entire squad was being revamped, with a lot of players out the door and many new ones in. It was going to take at least 2 months to get everybody ready. Additionally, this season started a lot earlier than normal because of the World Cup in December. Tuchel didn't even get a full pre-season with his new team, despite being given so much money to get the players he wanted into the team. Reportedly, one of the biggest reasons for the Chelsea owner getting annoyed at Tuchel was Tuchel's refusal to integrate Cristiano Ronaldo into the Chelsea squad, after Todd Boehly had gone out of his way to meet Ronaldo and his agent to bring them to Chelsea. If everybody remembers the start of summer, Chelsea were very heavily linked with Ronaldo, but that story soon fizzled out. Whatever the truth might be, Tuchel was devastated by his sacking, sending his statement out to the fans before he left. This is one of the most difficult statements I've ever had to write, and it is one which I hoped I would not need to do for many years. I'm devastated that my time at Chelsea has come to an end. This is a club where I felt at home, both professionally and personally. Thank you so much to all the staff, the players and the supporters for making me feel very welcome from the start.